Diggs dealt to Houston and all that goes with it. Does more Henry mean less Lamar? Mostert isn't going anywhere. A lighter load for Etienne, and Christian Watson is looking to cure what ails him. Stand by for this week's top 5 fantasy headlines. Headline number 1, the Bills send Stefon Diggs to Houston. This is great news for Texans fans, but it's fair to wonder if it's the best for fantasy managers. If you're looking for compensation, financial, and other aspects of this trade, football guy Dave Kluge's instant reaction is linked to in the comments below. For our purposes, the end of Diggs' 4-year run in Buffalo means it's time to start sifting through the fantasy fallout. Despite a poor fantasy finish last season, Diggs led the NFL with 445 receptions during his time as a Bill. He also finished in the top 4 in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns during that span. Landing Diggs was the latest win-now move for the Texans, who are surrounding second-year signal caller C.J. Stroud with veteran talent this offseason. The team traded for running back Joe Mixon last month. Diggs and Mixon joined 3 other talented frontline players, receivers Nico Collins and Tank Dell, and tight end Dalton Schultz. Houston's offense will benefit from the additional juice. Diggs and Collins were 2 of just 7 players in the NFL with 80-plus receptions, 1,000-plus receiving yards, and 8-plus receiving touchdowns in 2023. So Stroud is a clear-cut winner here. Beyond that, the questions are obvious. Diggs averaged 161 targets per year in Buffalo. Can he draw 9 looks per game working alongside Collins, Dell, and Schultz? Well, my friend Laquan Jones over at NFL Network reminds us the Rams had 3 receivers, Cooper Kupp, Brandon Cooks, and Robert Woods, put up top 20 fantasy numbers in the 8 games they played together in 2018. So there's hope, but hope isn't a strategy. And those of us who have been spending second-round draft capital on Collins, late second or early third-round picks on Diggs, and late third, early fourth-round picks on Dell will be making adjustments going forward. We'll all be winners if league mates and fellow drafters overcompensate by dialing back too much and we get more reasonable prices on all 3. On the other side of this one, Josh Allen will now need to look for a new big play threat. Unfortunately, his top 3 wideouts are Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, and Mac Hollins. The last 2 have never caught an NFL pass from Allen, and none of the trio should be viewed as frontline fantasy starters. The Bills are all but certain to add at wideout, but with the Diggs trade resulting in the 6th highest dead cap hit in NFL history, expect them to do this by way of the NFL draft. So more immediately, Dalton Kincaid is a winner. Remember all the talk about the athletic young tight end playing a Travis Kelce-like role in Buffalo? Well, this clears the path for the Bills to use him as that kind of weapon, the kind we expected last season. Currently going in the 5th or 6th round in early best balls, Kincaid has a real chance to be the team leader in targets. Meanwhile, I get the concern for Allen investors, but they shouldn't fret too much. He might not be a winner in this deal, but our own Jason Wood adjusted the football guy's projections after this deal, taking Allen's 2023 TD percentage down by a full point, raising his interception rate, dropping his completion rate 2 points, and Allen's still quarterback 1. Nonetheless, you should expect his late second or early third round price to slide a bit. Leverage it as you see fit or not, because headline number 2, a revamped rushing attack won't limit Lamar Jackson. According to the Ravens' official website, the process of reshaping Baltimore's rushing attack is already underway. It will be different. The question is how different. Jackson won his 2nd NFL MVP last season while setting career highs in passing yards and completion percentage. But he still led all quarterbacks with 821 rushing yards, and his ability to stretch defenses with his running is something the Ravens won't abandon. The run-pass option will at least be part of that approach, even if it's not front and center. And it makes it all the more exciting that newly signed Derrick Henry is in the mix. Both players should benefit from the presence of the other. That being the case, it's worth noting we have Jackson ranked at a ceiling as our quarterback 2, and he's being drafted accordingly in early best balls. On the other hand, Henry's price hasn't caught up with my expectations. I wrote about this in a recent edition of the Fantasy Notebook. You'll find a link in the comments below. For those who missed it, when Henry hit 21.68 miles per hour on a run in the Titans' regular season finale last season, it was the 7th fastest speed in the NFL per next-gen stats. There are 2 things you can't coach in the NFL: size and speed. Henry is 6'3", 247 pounds. Did I mention he just posted the 7th fastest speed in the NFL thing last season? Yes. Henry turned 30 in January, and he's had the most rushing attempts in the NFL since 2018. Still, his breakaway run percentage last season ranked 6th best among running backs with at least 50 carries. So when I consider the size and speed, factor in the presence of the most dangerous running quarterback in the NFL, and an offensive line upgrade, I'm buying as much Henry as I can at his current late 3rd, early 4th round price, because he's going to rise as the rest of the world gets up to speed on this. Need more information like this? Get the Football Guy's daily update, the biggest stories in football summarized, explained, and delivered straight to your inbox every day. Sign up and check it out. Unsubscribe anytime. It's totally free and totally fantastic. You'll find a link in the description below this video. While you're there, like, subscribe, comment. We appreciate all that. Headline number 3, Raheem Mostert gets extended. A new contract keeps Mostert in Miami through 2025. And as our own Sigmund Bloom wrote in Thursday's This Week in NFL News, link in the comments below, if you had any doubt that Mostert is still central in the Dolphins' plans for 2024, you shouldn't now. Of course, even with the addition of speedy rookie Achane, Mostert was able to run for just over 1,000 yards on 290 carries last season with a league-leading 18 rushing touchdowns. His 21 total touchdowns set a franchise record and made him a league-winning piece for many fantasy managers. Again, age might be a concern. Mostert will be 32 by the time the season begins, but he only has 645 career rushing attempts. For perspective, 26 running backs have at least 1,000 rushing attempts since Mostert entered the league in 2015. Also, much like Henry, Mostert can still move. He hit 21.62 miles per hour on a 43-yard touchdown run last season. Achane's top speed was 21.93. Teammate Tyreek Hill, the real cheetah, he topped out at 22.01. That's right, less than a half a mile per hour difference, meaning there's really no difference. Nobody's catching any of these Dolphins from behind. The crazy part? The assumption in best ball drafts up to this point is Achane, Fantasy's running back 25 last year, is a clear-cut number 1. He's being drafted in the second round as running back 8. Mostert, he's being drafted in round 8 as running back 27. That does not compute. Look, I do have shares of Achane, but nowhere near the number I have of Mostert, who finished last season as running back 5 overall. And I'll keep adding to that until the prices take into account what the Dolphins just told us by extending the veteran back. Headline number 4, can Tank lighten Etienne's load? The Jaguars struggled to run the ball in 2023. They finished 23rd overall with 96.8 yards per game, but their final 6 weeks were even more horrible. Jacksonville averaged just 79 yards per game on the ground, and that's with a 155-yard performance during a Week 17 shutout win over the Panthers. Florida Times Union staffer Demetrius Harvey put that in perspective by noting the Bengals' league worst average on the season was 89.8 yards per game. In addition to more consistent play along the offensive line, part of the plan to improve the run game is getting second-year back Tank Bigsby involved more. One of last summer's fantasy darlings, and I was among those guilty of touting him as such, Bigsby's inability to protect the football ultimately left him on the bench for much of the season. He played just 141 snaps, got 50 carries for 132 yards with 2 touchdowns. Head coach Doug Peterson says that must change. The desired outcome is taking some of the burden off Travis Etienne Jr., with Peterson telling reporters that keeping the former first-round pick healthy all year is vital. Etienne played 856 offensive snaps last season. That's a 73% snap share. His 325 total touches, up from 255 the year before, ranked 3rd in the league last season behind San Francisco's Christian McCaffrey and Tampa Bay's Rachaad White. That heavy usage is a big reason Etienne finished as Fantasy's running back 3. He's running back 6 on the initial Football Guide 2024 draft rankings. He's going in rounds 2 to 3 in early best balls. I think that's a defensible price, but we need to watch for other possible additions to this backfield or for signs that Bigsby is truly capable of bolstering the rushing attack as the season draws nearer. And finally, headline number 5, Watson turning to science to toughen up his tender hammies. Christian Watson missed 8 games last year due to hamstring injuries. The Packers are trying to keep that from happening again. Head coach Matt LaFleur explained this week, Watson visited a special lab in Madison to assess the situation. The goal this year is to have him available for every possible game. That would be great because when he plays, Watson is very effective and dangerous. Fantasy managers would love to see him return to the form that led to a 7-touchdown output over a 4-game stretch during his 2022 rookie campaign. Which brings us to an interesting point. How should we value this receiving core with a rising talent at quarterback in Jordan Love running LaFleur's highly productive offense? No Packers receiver gained more than 793 yards last year. The leading receiver with that number was rookie Jaden Reed. Our initial Football Guide draft rankings have Reed at wide receiver 39, Romeo Doubs at wide receiver 49, Watson is at wide receiver 54, and Dontavian Wicks is wide receiver 89. All are capable of delivering high-end totals any given week. All are reasonably priced. In particular, Watson and Doubs are making it into the double-digit rounds as wide receiver 4 level investments. Wicks is often available as wide receiver 6. Being old, mean, and very cheap, I'm going to have a lot of Wicks. But Watson, given his size, speed, and previously demonstrated upside, is tempting at cost, and I, for one, am rooting for the science to win out here. That's it for me, Bob Harris. Watch for this week's Fantasy Notebook Monday morning. Otherwise, we'll see you right here next week. And until then, I'll be looking for more news to give you an edge on the competition.